So today we're going to be looking at what is hay fever, how your diet and lifestyle can contribute to your symptoms, natural remedies to relieve your symptoms, diet and lifestyle changes that you can make from now in preparation. We're going to be hearing from Leon Marshall. There's going to be lots of other things that are discussed in amongst that, and we're going to be having a Kahoot at the end as well. So why is this topic even so important? Now, being in nature is just extremely good for our health. And that is one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people find when they've got hay fever is they just want to stay indoors because they want to be away from the pollen. And I covered this when I did the reset talk for Andrew Mohammed at the beginning of the year. But there's a practice called Shinrin Yoku, or they call it forest bathing, and it's got lots of different names in different cultures. But it's literally the science-backed process or practice of doing what we kind of did naturally anyway, which was spending time surrounded by nature. And it was understood on a cultural level that it was very beneficial for your health, but now people have actually started studying it. And these are some of the results that they have found you can absolutely expect if you consciously spend time in nature regularly.
Forest bathing is based on a Japanese practice, is defined as making contact with and taking in the atmosphere of the forest. And this experience is more than a guided nature walk. There are some real healing effects from exposure to the forest. And here's just some of the benefits that have been seen through research studies. Decreased blood pressure, decreased cortisol levels, lower heart rate, increased parasympathetic nervous system activity, and this is what's responsible for your body's relaxation response. And then this is a finding that I really liked. Forest bathing was associated with enhanced immune function through increased natural killer cell activity. Natural killer cells are a type of white blood cell called a lymphocyte, and they're a part of your body's defense system. And what's even better about this finding of the enhanced immune function is that it lasted for a month after the exposure.
So this lady is amazing, by the way. I'm going to find her name and I'll send it out in the replay, but she's a lovely doctor from America who, even though she's a medical doctor, she will research things that come through in the natural health world and then put the medical perspective on it.
Forest bathing is based on a Japanese practice, is defined.
Our brother Leon Marshall has written the book Hidden Science of Melanin. So not only being surrounded by nature, but also us having contact with the sun, because we used to spend anything from 9 to up to 16 hours outside. And a lot of that time, as long as there was sunlight, our skin would have been in contact with the sun. Now we can absolutely be awake for 16 hours. And literally we wake up in our home, get ourselves ready, go from our home to a car, and then drive somewhere, and then go from the car to the building, and then we do the same thing to come home. So the amount of time our skin is actually touching the sun can be less than 10 minutes in a whole entire day. And when clients come into the clinic and I'm like, we need to, get outside more, spend more time in nature. The reason why a lot of people aren't staying outside is because it's cold. We are in the UK. We can't really escape cold, but it is so beneficial for us to get outside into nature. There's even something about the way that plants and leaves and trees have got the same recurring pattern, but in a random order. There's something about us seeing that triggers serotonin in our brain. So when we see grass, it's random, but there's the same shape reoccurring. When we see trees, when we see flowers, even when we see butterflies and birds, all of these things actually trigger serotonin in our bodies. So when we're just coming out of winter and a lot of us are experiencing that seasonal affective disorder, literally feeling sad all through the winter, the best time we get the opportunity to recover from that naturally is just being outside. So we want to get everyone outside as much as possible to enjoy the sunlight and just being surrounded by nature. And even just having more plants around you, even on inside, if you've got a small patch of grass in your garden, just being in your garden or walking in a park, all of these things can give you all of these benefits, but we need to obviously address the fact that it can be so uncomfortable when you've got hay fever and all these hay fever symptoms for you to spend any time outside at all. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So what is hay fever? Hay fever, and another word for hay fever, or another kind of medical term, is allergic rhinitis. So allergic rhinitis, that's another name for hay fever. So it's an allergy, and the allergy creates inflammation in your nasal passage. So anything with itis on the end of it means inflammation. So it's an allergic rhinitis. And it's an allergic reaction to environmental allergens such as pollen, dust mites, mold, animal dander. And it can also be to pollution. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. And you know, the environment that we're living. But that is basically what hay fever is. And people have lots of different symptoms when they have hay fever. Some people have all the symptoms, some people just have one. So what actually is happening when we get hay fever?
Allergies are one of the most common causes of illness, estimated to affect up to 1 in 5 people, and they are becoming more common around the world. Allergy occurs when our body becomes sensitive to a substance called an allergen that is harmless to most people. For example, common allergens include pollen, which causes hay fever, certain foods, such as nuts, milk, and eggs, insect bites, such as bee and wasp stings, dust mites, molds, animal fur, some medicines, and certain materials, such as latex. So, how do allergies occur? The immune system is how our body detects, remembers, and eliminates foreign material that is harmful to the body, such as viruses and bacteria, and allergens are treated in the same way. When first exposed to an allergen, the immune system creates a type of protein called IgE antibody that is able to uniquely recognize that allergen. After this exposure, the antibodies lie in wait on a type of immune cell called mast cells. If the allergen is encountered again, it causes an allergic reaction. The allergen binds to the antibodies, triggering the mast cells to release their contents, including chemical messengers such as histamine. These have a range of effects on the body. Common symptoms triggered by this reaction include itchy skin, rash or swelling, sneezing and runny nose, inflammation and congestion around the nose and eyes, cough and wheeze, diarrhea or feeling sick. These symptoms might be mild and occur over a period of time, but allergic reactions can also happen straight away. For some types of allergies, reactions can be severe and life-threatening, called...
So hay fever doesn't normally lead to coughing. So one of those symptoms that doesn't apply to hay fever is coughing, but it can definitely trigger wheezing. So not coughing, but...
When and where symptoms occur can provide clues. If these follow exposure to a particular allergen, as well as symptom history, family history is also relevant, as some families have a genetic tendency to develop allergic diseases called atopy. Allergy testing is also sometimes used to investigate further or confirm an allergy. These include blood tests for total and specific IgE antibodies and skin prick or patch testing, where tiny amounts of different allergens are introduced to the skin in a safe way to see if the skin reacts. If an allergy is diagnosed, there are many ways of reducing its impact. Firstly, it is important to try to avoid the allergen as much as possible. Medications are also available to help with symptoms. Antihistamines and steroids directly dampen down the allergic response. Other medications can provide symptom relief, such as skin creams or decongestants.
So there are a lot of symptoms that you're going to get. And when most people get symptoms, they will go to the pharmacy or they'll go to the chemist or they'll just go to the supermarkets these days and find something that is going to block that histamine response. So what is happening is your body actually thinks that these natural things coming in are things to be worried about and get rid of. And if anyone's ever come in for live blood analysis and I've shown you your white blood cells are nice and shiny. And the shiny part of your white blood cells are granules. So as they're traveling through the blood, because everything that comes into your body ends up in your blood, as the white blood cells are traveling through your blood, they are detecting things that are not meant to be there and gobbling them up. And then they'll move around, detect something else and gobble it up. If they detect too many things that are not meant to be there or something that seems too dangerous, that's when they send out a message to the rest of the immune system saying, guys, this is something we need to protect ourselves against, and then it produces that Ig protein. So if it comes in contact with it again, your body has it has a response. And that histamine, that chemical called the histamine coming out, is going to give you symptoms to get rid of and clear out the thing that it thinks is dangerous. So in the same way, when you have a cough or a cold and your immune system, your white blood cells detect it and gobble it up, they heat your body up, because heating your body up will kill off the viruses. They will produce mucus and wrap it around the bacteria and the viruses, and then they come out through snot and mucus and phlegm and all those kind of things. Or if they're in your respiratory tract, you're coughing them up. And the reason why sneezing is such a common response is because the pollen is oftentimes coming in through your nose. So the quickest way to get rid of it is to shoot mucus out of your nose and pour lots of mucus into your nasal cavity to wrap up the pollen, and then you can blow it out. So that's actually what's happening when you get hay fever. And again, a lot of people will go to what's advertised most readily, which is things like antihistamines and steroids. So, so things that make hay fever more likely, because not everybody is obviously affected by hay fever. It's 1 in 5 people. So in our family, there are 8 of us, and about 5 of us have the symptoms. 3 people this year have had the symptoms so badly that they can't, it's been really hard. Like, one of our daughters basically doesn't come out of the house that much. And we've tried lots of things. We haven't tried everything, but we've tried lots of things with her. And I even said, of all the things we've tried, what do you think has worked the most? And she said staying inside. Whereas other members of our family, and we're all the same family, all the children, same mother and father, grew up in the same environment. The other children have had symptoms for maybe a couple of weeks while their body is getting used to the pollen, and then they're absolutely fine. And then others have responded to some of the things we're going to speak about, and others we've needed 2 or 3 of the things. Now, when you have other allergies, so your immune system is already battling other things, that can compromise your body's ability to have a calm response when pollen comes in, because you're already being attacked by so many things. That's why childhood vaccinations and immunizations also increase the risk of a child developing allergies, because when a child is born and they have, in the first 18 months, they have up to 21 viruses injected into their body, it kicks their immune system up to functioning at 80%, when most immune systems are only functioning at 20%. So when your immune system is having to fight off all of these things, because the theory is, if we put all these things in, your body produces all of these mast cells, the body produces all this protection against it, that if it comes in contact with it again, you won't have a reaction. Number one, we know that doesn't work, because there's loads of children who have been vaccinated against things that they still got. We've seen that just now with the pandemic that happened, people getting vaccinated and them still getting the situation. So you're overwhelming and overworking your immune system. And then you're then having to get this, what feels like an onslaught of these other irritants. So your body can just have an overreaction. And that's why when people have allergies to 1 or 2 things, it can follow this trajectory where they're all of a sudden just allergic to everything and they feel like there's nothing that they can eat. And it's because their body is overworked. So part of the process is to calm and reduce the inflammation in that person's body and relax the immune system by supporting it naturally so that it has a calmer response. That is what autoimmune diseases are. Everything I just described is autoimmune disease. It's where your immune system starts attacking healthy cells, thinking they're invaders because something has over-triggered it. Now, being born by C-section, if you were born by C-section or if you've got children born by C-section, that can also increase the risk of you developing hay fever symptoms, and prematurity as well. With prematurity, you just haven't been in the womb long enough to build up your defenses. And 2 of our children were born prematurely. So we definitely saw the impact of that. But when you're born by C-section, instead of you coming out through your mother's vaginal canal, you've come out into an operating theatre. So when you've come out through your mother's vaginal canal, you get inoculated by all the friendly bacteria in your mother's vaginal canal, and that protects you when you come out. So as you're coming out, it's going up your nose and in your mouth and in your ears and in your eyes, and all of that is protecting you. You come out with this protective glaze around you. It does get washed off, but it's already got in and it's already done its job when you come out. And that's why you'll have families of children, and the ones who have either premature or they've come out through C-section tend to be the ones that are more likely to get sick, more likely to get allergies, more likely to have food sensitivities than the ones who were breastfed, because that again is another form of natural inoculation, and who were born vaginally. When your body is under stress, your body will only focus on getting you out of danger. So your immune system gets compromised, digestive system's compromised, cell regeneration is compromised. So when you're in a stress state, that is also going to make it more likely that you develop the symptoms. When you're inactive, you're not exercising, you're not getting out of breath, you're not sweating. Because when you're getting out of breath, you're taking in more oxygen, you're normally drinking more water, you tend to eat a little healthier when you're a lot more active. And that helps to cleanse you, because as I've said so many times, sweating is how we detox through the skin. Deep breathing is how we detox the respiratory tract. And we're going to speak about other ways you can cleanse your respiratory tract, but just being active is one of them. If you live with any mold or damp, and I promise you, up until like yesterday or Friday, I have clients coming into the clinic saying that their grandson is living in a house with mold. The landlords know it's there. It's been there for a year, and this poor child is living in it, taking it in, breathing it in constantly, and they're wondering why this child's had a cough that they haven't been able to shift for ages. So, you know, all houses develop it. Our house developed it. House we were in before developed it. But when we see it, we jump on it so quickly because we've got vulnerable children, still got one of the premature babies in the house, who's now a very big person. But I know how dangerous this stuff is. So you have to be on it, because when these mold spores get into your respiratory tract, again, your whole immune system has to work towards getting rid of them. And they are insidious. Once they get in, they multiply, they go everywhere. So your immune system just can't handle some simple pollen coming in. Smoking, coffee, and alcohol. So remember these two: smoking, coffee, and alcohol intake. All of those things also make it more likely that you're going to develop hay fever symptoms and antibiotic overuse. So when you're just being given a year-long course of antibiotics to deal with situations, which thankfully they're reducing. But again, I still had this lady come into the clinic saying she's on a year-long, she's been on antibiotics for a year, because when you're taking antibiotics, broad spectrum ones, they're killing off all your friendly bacteria. And when you don't have any friendly bacteria, they can't keep the unfriendly ones in check. And again, that compromises your immune system. So the higher your immune system's functioning, the easier it is for your body to deal with the simple change of season that brings more pollen into the environment. So when you go to the doctors, or when you go to, you know, any of the supermarkets, because you want to help yourself out, the two things, well, the thing that you can get in the supermarket is antihistamine. If you were to go to the doctors and they think that the antihistamines aren't strong enough, you're going to be given steroids. Now, most people already have negative connotations with steroids, and rightly so, but antihistamines can seem a little less challenging. They seem a little less noxious than steroids, but both of them have their challenges. And again, I want to offer you as many drug-free solutions as possible. However, if you do decide to use antihistamines, just be aware that some of the side effects, and the side effects are all written in the literature, but they are tiny, and most people just want a quick fix by that time, so you're unlikely to read them. But just knowing in advance, it can reduce coordination, create headaches, upset stomach, drowsiness, sore throat, coughs, rapid heartbeat, and blurred vision. These are some of the general side effects of antihistamines, and this is not even brand specific. So the different brands will have different chemical combinations, and they will have even more, because histamines actually keep you alert. They actually help with your digestion. There's actually a lot of benefits of histamines. Just like cholesterol. Cholesterol's got lots of beneficial, uses as well. But histamines can also, when they're triggered and release too much, they can also have challenges. So when you want to reduce your histamine levels, taking a chemical antihistamine is going to get rid of those beneficial uses of histamines in your bodies, like keeping you alert, like your brain function, like your digestion. That's why antihistamines give you stomach upsets and they make you drowsy. So that's why when you take these things, you can't drive, you can't operate heavy machinery. It's not the best idea to be alone with young children, all of these things. And so many mothers that I work with, and as a mother myself, I can't afford to be taking medication that's going to knock me out. And I've got loads of children to look after. Steroids, and loads of people already are aware of the effects of steroids. Potential liver damage, because your liver is the organ that has to process all these chemicals that come in. There have been links to testicular cancer, decreased breast tissue, skin eruptions with steroids. I think probably one of the more well-known symptoms, how people get these massive skin eruptions, excess body hair growth, enlarged heart, and increased blood clotting. So if we can avoid having to go down the drug route, we obviously want to do that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because there's the subject of how diet affects it is huge. But what is one thing that you can definitely take away from you is it's always beneficial to avoid the 4 white poisons. So white wheat flour, white sugar, milk, and rice. All of these things are going to, for various reasons, affect your digestive system. And when your digestive system gets affected, it creates inflammation in your digestive system. And then your immune system has to kick in as well. So while your immune system so things like sugar, I remember years ago when I was asked to write an article for a Jamaican magazine on sugar. When I started researching the impact that sugar has on the immune system, it was mind-blowing. Like when you take in processed sugar, so again, if you listened to the talk yesterday, we're not talking about fruit sugars, we're not talking about natural sugars, we're talking about processed white sugars, high fructose corn syrups, those types of things. They can immobilize your white blood cells for up to 30 minutes. So when we eat food and we chew it in our mouth and it gets absorbed and it gets to our stomach and it gets broken down and it gets to the first part of our small intestine, gets broken down more, and then the blood comes and picks it up and the blood carries it around the body. As soon as that sugar enters the blood, when it comes in contact with the white blood cells, and we're talking about the same white blood cells that the forest bathing increases the numbers of, it has been found to immobilize them. So they can't do their job of moving around the blood and detecting things that are not meant to be there and gobbling them up because they're now immobilized. Milk, when you're taking in milk, you're taking in all of the chemicals that cow was pumped with while it was, being reared in the most inhumane ways. So when that comes into your body, you're taking all of those growth hormones and steroids and antibiotics. You're taking all of those things into your body, which are going to affect your body. And milk has loads of mucus in it, and it can make your body produce mucus. And that is on top of the mucus that's already being produced because your body's fighting something. White rice is again, probably one of the least nutrient-rich foods on the planet. It breaks down to sugar super quickly. There's no fiber. Your body leaches minerals to break down white rice. So all of these 4 foods in your diet are going to have a significantly negative impact. So if you can reduce them as much as possible in preparation for these, so these are things you can do from now. Because to be fair, if you're in the midst of a hay fever attack, like 4, 5, 6 weeks from now, reducing them at that time is definitely going to be beneficial, because reducing them at any time is beneficial, but not as beneficial as if we do it now, because then your body can have time to recover from the damage of these foods. So it's in the best place possible and it's in the calmest place possible to have a normal, calm response to the pollen that's coming in. So some of the herbal teas, so that now we're going to look at some natural remedies that you can take in as well. And at the end of this, I'm going to put in the chat a link to a PDF document that I've put together that you can keep as like a checklist that lists all of the foods and natural supplements I'm talking about and all the lifestyle changes that you can use to help have a drug-free experience this year. So herbal teas, nettle tea. Nettle tea is 100% my favorite herb in the whole world. I loved nettle tea anyway. And then when I was pregnant, And one of the few times I bothered to go to the doctors to get a checkup after I decided to take my health into my own hands. And I was reading a magazine, and there was an article that said drinking 2 cups of nettle tea had enough calcium to provide a pregnant mother and her baby with all the calcium that they need. So bear in mind, a pregnant mother needs calcium for her own body and for the growing bones and nervous system and brain and organs of a whole new entire child. And 2 cups of nettle tea can do it. So from that moment, I fell in love with nettle tea. When my iron levels hit the floor, when I was in my 5th pregnancy, 8 months pregnant in my 5th pregnancy, nettle tea was one of the teas that I used to get my iron levels up. And nettle tea is one of the things that I gave my husband when he was having a hay fever flare up last year, that he said, this actually worked. Because not everything I force feed my husband. Anytime something healthy comes into the house, like I discover something new, like a probiotic or aloe vera juice or black seed oil, I'm feeding everyone in the family. But yeah, I gave my husband nettle tea. So I gave it to my husband, I gave it to my son. And he came back saying, yeah, I definitely feel better. He was like, you should tell people about this. I was like, yeah, I do, babe. But I gave it to my son, didn't have as much of an impact. Gave it to my daughter, didn't have as much of an impact. But nettle tea definitely has been found to help. And lots of other people that I've worked with, the nettle tea has been the one. Mullein is an amazing herb for all respiratory challenges. All of my clients that smoke and have got any form of asthma or bronchitis, they are on mullein tea. I had a client come in who bought a load of herbs for me, and then she came to the clinic a few weeks later. She said she's been taking the herbal blend I've got with the mullein in it, and last week she could hear herself wheezing every time she breathed. Now she can't hear it at all, and she was almost shocked, like there's something that doesn't feel right. And she realized it was because she couldn't hear herself breathing. And another lady came in and gave a similar, who came actually from quite far up north, gave a similar account. Echinacea is amazing for supporting the immune system. When you feel something coming on, a cough or cold, a sneeze, those types of things, and hay fever, taking echinacea as soon as possible can help to strengthen the immune system. Chamomile is amazingly calming. And the interesting thing about chamomile and elderflower is they are flowers. They have pollen, but they themselves, as flowers having pollen, when you take them in during hay fever, they can actually have a calming, neutralizing effect. Again, elderflower. Hibiscus is sorrel, or hibiscus, as they say back home. Hibiscus, sorrel, zobo. I know they call it zobo in Nigeria. And then orange. All of these teas are really beneficial that you can start taking from now that can help your respiration. So we have a herbal tea combination called Breath, and it's got all of those in it apart from nettle. And that's what the herbs all look like. So you can go and get yourself all of these herbs and combine them, or just, choose the ones that you really like. So when people get puffy eyes during hay fever, some people respond really well to getting a chamomile tea bag, dipping it in water and dipping it in warm water or cool water if their eyes are really puffy, and letting it sit on their eyes. For some people that works so well. Other people just nettle tea. All of these things work really, really well. Another natural remedy, and a lot of people have probably already heard of this, is fresh frozen bee pollen and local honey. Now, the reason why this can be a little bit confusing, because some people are like 100% pollen works. Pollen works definitely. And the pathway is our bodies are sensitive to the pollen coming in the plants, in the flowers that come out in spring and then throughout summer. So if we take that pollen beforehand, our body again creates the defenses and gets accustomed to it and used to it, so that when we actually get exposed to it, our body doesn't have a huge reaction. So number one, pollen that is in a jar on the shelf can sometimes be less. Bee pollen is amazing. It's got hundreds of nutrients in it. It's even got protein in it. It is an amazing superfood. But as far as hay fever is concerned, it is more useful to get the fresh frozen one, because when you heat pollen, and they do have to heat it to keep it fresh for longer, when you heat it, you do kill off some things. So that's why I always recommend people get fresh frozen bee pollen, which is quite hard to find and unfortunately more expensive. But if you can get that one, if you've tried regular pollen and it hasn't worked, fresh frozen bee pollen might be better. The other thing with pollen is you also want to get pollen, you also want to get it from flowers that are local to where you are, because those are the pollens that you're going to be in contact with. And that's why they say local honey is also the best honey to take, a tablespoon or two a day, because you're taking in, again, honey made from the bees that were around the pollen that you're going to be taking in, so it naturally inoculates you. The reason why this doesn't always work is because if we jump back to all the things that you can be sensitive to, people are not always sensitive to the flowers. When people have a hay fever reaction, they're sometimes sensitive to the trees, because trees all have tiny little flowers on them. Most trees have got little flowers on them. They're not big and pretty, but they are small and they're there. And sometimes that's what we're getting the reaction from. Sometimes it's just the grass. A lot of times it's the grass. Sometimes it's things like ragweed. So that's why if you're taking honey or pollen and it's not working, that might be because pollen is not your main sensitivity. It might be grass and those other things. So in that instance, we want to support your immune system so that anything that comes in, your body has a calmer reaction to it. So this, again, this is definitely going to work for some people, but if it doesn't, it's just because maybe that wasn't your challenge in the first place. Another natural remedy is something called golden milk. Golden milk is it's linked to India, but I know it's a lot of other people have have spoken about this being used back in their cultural settings as well. Golden milk is literally just warm plant-based milk. Again, you can put a local honey in it or regular honey if you want to. And the bits that make it potent is turmeric, black pepper, and ginger. Turmeric is naturally anti-inflammatory. So all of those inflammation responses that the histamine creates, so the puffy eyes, the swollen nose, the itchy skin sometimes, the sneezing, all that kind of stuff, the anti-inflammatory effect of the turmeric helps to calm that down. When you take, now turmeric isn't very well absorbed by the body, but turmeric, when it comes in contact or when it's taken with black pepper, the black pepper increases the absorption of turmeric, something ridiculous like 400 times. So taking turmeric on its own can be useful. Taking it with black pepper helps incredibly. And then the addition of ginger, and you can also definitely put things like cinnamon in there as well. The addition of ginger also stimulates the immune system even more and helps reduce inflammation. So making this and drinking this regularly, I know a lot of people who use this for hair growth and for improving the condition of their skin as well. And I would definitely recommend brothers get on turmeric as soon as possible, because it helps with your biology and protecting you as far as things like your prostate is concerned quite significantly. Now, there's something that I just discovered the other day, and I want every single human in the world that can to participate in this newfound love of mine, which is pineapple skin tea.
Don't throw out your pineapple skins, make this delicious tea instead. All you need is the well-washed skin and the core, if you haven't eaten that as well, of a pineapple that you bring to the boil in about 1 liter of water, and then let it simmer for 30 minutes and strain everything out, discarding the pineapple skin. This tea is said to help and has been found to help everything from digestion to pain and inflammation, especially associated with arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, as well as helping to boost immunity and help you get a good night's sleep. If you try it, enjoy, let me know.
See, this is another one of those things that I wanted everyone to try. So when I made it, that was me serving it out to everyone in the house. So when I started making pineapple tea, I was just using the pineapple. And then when I mentioned it to a friend, they said you can put ginger in it as well. So I started putting ginger in it as well. And again, you also get those anti-inflammatory benefits of the pineapple, of the ginger in there as well. Now, green and blue juices. So when I was about 19, I think I did my first 5-day juice cleanse. And it was when I was learning a lot about nutrition and diet and herbs and all those kind of things. And I bought this book because I was buying loads of books at the time. I became a bit of a geeky late teen, early 20, and I read this whole book. I think I got this book from my brother actually, or I saw him read it and then I got my own. So I did the juice cleanse that they recommended in there. And again, if you want to do a full juice, healthy fruit regeneration, we've got Leon Marshall that's going to be coming and talking about that, as well as his journey on recovering from hay fever. But the two juices that I recommend that you can find in this juice, one of them is a green juice, and it's celery, parsley, green apples, lime, and cucumber. And then a blue juice. So I'd recommend for 3 days, you can have the green juice, and the other 3 days you can have the blue juice, and then you can take a break. So blueberries, and again, Leon spoke a lot about blueberries and the benefits of them last night. And you can find the replay. I'll ask him to put the replay in the chat for his talk yesterday as well. So blueberries, mango, cantaloupe, melon, and passion fruit are in the blue juice, and then the green juice has got the celery, parsley, green apples, lime, and cucumber. Now, you will always hear me talk about the benefits of all of these green vegetables because they all in some way help support the liver. And again, when the liver is strengthened and protected, it can help all the other functions of the body. But we're not going to go into that too much now so we can keep things on hay fever. And again, the document that I'm going to put the link to in the chat is going to have these recipes in it. So you could just download this document and keep it with you and stick it up somewhere. So all the things I'm talking about, you'll have them all listed there. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you guys get yourself this book. He's got this book, Michael Van Straten. He's got the Super Juice book, and then he's got an updated version called More Super Juices. Right, now, lifestyle recommendations. The first thing I'm going to recommend is that you be patient, be loving, be kind, and be gentle with yourself, because it can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes when we get in all these symptoms and we're trying things and they're not working and we just don't have the energy to, making the juices and making the teas and doing all these things. So just be patient with yourself during your time, because when the hay fever hits, and for some people, it hits at all different times. Some people don't get the symptoms until like midsummer and they think they've escaped it and then it hits them all in one go. Other people are getting symptoms from right now. They're getting the symptoms from the moment it warmed up a few weeks ago, bang, they're getting the symptoms. So do be patient with your body getting used to and healing and adjusting to all the things that you're taking in, because it can take some time. And, we're kind of used to things working instantaneously. And nature doesn't always follow that path. Just like bamboo, you can put bamboo shoots in the ground and they take, was it like 5 years before they sprout up? But it doesn't mean that they're not growing. It just has taken that much time to germinate. So do definitely be patient with yourself. Now, there's something else that it can quickly create relief. And this is one of the things that a lot of people have found helps, especially if you do it regularly. Now, there's a company called Neil Med, and years ago when I was doing an event and I was asking companies to send me free samples of products, they sent me box loads of this exact bottle that this lady's holding right now, because it's really easy to do a nasal rinse with. But even if you don't have a bottle like this, again, Neil's Med, I'm sure you can get them for like £10 for the last 3 months or something. If you can't get a bottle like this, you can just use your hand to make a little pool of liquid that you can do a nasal flush with. So this is how you can do a nasal flush.
Performing a sinus rinse is a safe and simple way to clean the nose and sinuses for patients who suffer from allergies or recurrent sinus infections. There are many different devices available to rinse the nose, but they all essentially work the same way. A salt-water mixture is pushed into one nostril and out the other. As the fluid moves out the nose, it washes out dust, pollen, and other debris out of the nose and also helps to loosen any thick mucus in the nasal passages that may be present. To watch a live demonstration of a sinus rinse, check out these videos.
So, again, there's things called neti pots, Netti, neti pots. There are these sinus rinse bottles, or some people literally just make a pool of water in their hand, in their palm, and so what you have to make sure you're doing, because you want that liquid to go up one nostril, there's a little gap at the top there, and then round and come out the other side. So you have to keep your mouth open when you're doing this. You keep your mouth open. If you're using the bottle, you're just keeping your mouth open, you're squeezing with one side, and it's just going to go up and out. up and out. If you go on YouTube, you'll find loads of videos of people doing it. It's just going to go up and out. If you keep your mouth closed, it could go down your throat, and then you cough and choke it out, and then which is actually not the worst thing in the world. You just cough a few times and it will come out. But if you keep your mouth open, it goes round. If you don't have a bottle, because a bottle produces a bit of, oomph to get it up there. If you've just got the pool in your hand, you do have to hold one nostril, sniff gently, so not like, but just like up one side, and then quickly hold that side closed and then squirt it out the other side. So again, there's loads of videos, but doing this first thing in the morning and in the evening has been, so many people have said that this is one of the best things that they've tried for keeping the pollen that's creating that irritation out of their system.
Performing a sinus.
Now, the other thing, again, is exercising regularly. We want to rest. We want to get all of that gunk out through the sweating and the deep breathing. I don't think I can probably stress that enough, is exercising. Now, also, some other things that are really beneficial is while you're trying all the other things to protect your body from all this coming in, is rubbing coconut oil or shea butter on the inside of your nostril so that it catches. Now, people talk about using Vaseline. Most of us know that Vaseline is not the safest thing to use anymore, but using some kind of fat, some kind of oil on the bottom of your nose and in the inside of your nose as well. Not all the way up, but just like using a cotton wool bud and just going round, because that helps to catch the pollen before it actually enters your nose. So you do, if it's already gone in, you do the saline rinse. But doing the saline rinse first thing in the morning and then putting some oil there creates a barrier while we're strengthening your body. The other thing is obviously keeping the windows closed in the evenings, because what happens is when the windows are open to keep the house cool during the day, the pollen is coming in, but it's coming in and it's staying up in the sky, near the ceiling. In the evening, pollen settles. And as it's coming down onto your clothes, onto the sofas, onto the beds. And that's when people have a bit of a sneezing fit in the evening. So if you keep the windows closed in the evening, then it makes it less likely for that to happen. And then if you're very sensitive and while your body is healing, taking off the clothes that you've been outside with and showering, so you're not bringing all the pollen and all the other things, the dust mites and the grass and all that kind of stuff and the pollen, bringing all that in with you, taking off your clothes so you're not sitting there breathing it in constantly, are other things that you can do and try. Now, and I'm always a little apprehensive when I share this, but going back home is undoubtedly one of the things that so many people have said they've done that has just cleared their symptoms straight away. There was a sister who was like, I always have sniffles and coughs, and I always feel like I'm allergic to the whole world. But as soon as she went to Dubai, she said, as soon as I went to Dubai, all the symptoms went. Every single symptom went. And she went like in the peak time of when everything normally kicks up for her. People go back to Jamaica, to Ghana, to Gambia, to everywhere, everyone that leaves the UK to somewhere hot where there's water, where there's tropics. So many people. If anyone has experienced that, please put in the chat. Please drop a 9 in the chat if you have experienced that your symptoms have reduced just by leaving the country. Because I know at least 7 people who have said that this is the case. So that was me in Jamaica, by the way. It was the same retreat that our brother went on the other day, that Leon went to, the Jamaican retreat, the Jamaican detox retreat. Now, so we've spoken about the fact that if you go to the doctors or if you want to self-medicate and you go to the pharmacy or the pharmacy section of the supermarket, one of the things that people are going to try and pick up is a form of antihistamine. So we know about Puritan and hyperallergase, or these other kind of brands, and they're all antihistamines. So they're blocking the body producing those chemicals that create the reaction. So one of the best natural nutrients that's been found to have an antihistamine effect is a nutrient called quercetin. And I never really know if I'm pronouncing this word properly, but I'm just going to call it quercetin, and we're just all going to know that this is what it is, quercetin. So a friend came over and she was like, I always had hay fever. I've been taking this supplement and now my symptoms are completely gone, because again, it's naturally blocking the histamine effect. And you don't need to get the supplement because there are lots of foods that are naturally rich in quercetin. So raw onions, and they say especially red onions, red apples, red grapes. So there is a lot of red foods in this. Kale, spinach, capers, watercress, cherries, berries, broccoli, tomatoes, asparagus, green tea, black tea, red leaf, lettuce, and chili peppers. These are all foods that are naturally high in that nutrient quercetin, which is a natural antihistamine. So we can still get that antihistamine effect without having to go to drugs. Now, the other thing that's really important is to please avoid alcohol. And that's because it's been shown so many times that alcohol will definitely worsen the symptoms of hay fever. Beer, wine, and other spirits contain histamine themselves. There are actual natural foods that contain histamine because, again, histamine has got lots of beneficial activities in the body. It's just when it gets stimulated by something that it maybe shouldn't be stimulated to, and it creates a defensive output that we want to reduce it. And again, beer, wine, and other spirits contain histamine, and this is the chemical that sets off the allergic reactions and symptoms in the body. So reducing alcohol while this is happening is very beneficial, and also avoiding coffee, because coffee also has and that is a natural source of histamine. And the thing with coffee is, my view and approach to coffee has softened over the years because I've realized that coffee is not the worst thing in the world, but most people are having coffee like a dessert. So they're not just having coffee, like a good coffee bean percolated with water. They're having coffee with water with 8 different types of sweetener and a milk and a creamer and a froth and a sprinkle and a syrup and they're having a dessert, and that's when it becomes a lot more challenging. So if you are, but even coffee on its own does have histamine in it. So reducing coffee again, and definitely coffee with all the other things in it. And if you are going to have coffee, and it's a bit of a catch-22, because if you are going to have coffee, having it a bit later in the day, as far as the histamine impact is concerned, might be better. But coffee has a 12-hour shelf life, a 12-hour half-life, sorry. So you want to have it 12 hours before you go to bed so it doesn't interfere with your sleep. So if you have it later on in the day, like around 3, it's going to be in your system all the way till 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. So just reducing it as much as possible to have a better impact on your symptoms is better, is easier. So when your body has this immune response to food, these are the different IG1, 2, 3, and 4 markers, the proteins that get stimulated, like we saw in the video before. Now, IG1, 2, and 3, when you're eating foods that stimulate IG1, 2, and 3, you get an obvious reaction, like your throat swells up, or you get a runny nose, or you get a bloating tummy, or you feel a little bit sick. So when you have those reactions to foods that you're taking in, you get an obvious response. And about 90% of the allergic responses or intolerances we have to food are IG1, 2, and 3 proteins that are being produced. But there's about between 1 and 5%, or 1 and 4% of the reactions you're going to get to foods are the IG4 protein reaction. And when you have any kind of symptom of being allergic to food, you get digestive issues, skin issues, you get rashes, hives, dry skin, but you also get symptoms that are similar to hay fever. So runny nose, migraines, tiredness, joint pains, anxiety, and anxiety, as well as ovulation and actual period pain. So food intolerances can trigger all of those, and they're making your immune system work significantly. So again, when your body has a sensitivity and it's an IG1 to 3 food, like allergen, that's most of the symptom, that's most of the intolerances we're going to have, and they create an obvious symptom. But again, 1 to 4% of the foods we're allergic to, we're not going to have any symptom at all. So if we're eating foods that we're allergic to, your body is still fighting them, we're just not getting an obvious reaction. So if you're eating foods you're intolerant to, and then you come in contact with pollen, this is something that's going to super drive your immune system. Your immune system is going to be working overtime, so it's going to be more likely to have a reaction to pollen. So it's really important that going into this process, you also identify foods you're intolerant to, because removing those foods can reduce your chances of having an overreaction when hay fever season comes in. So you can try elimination diet. So again, the fruit regeneration feast with Leon Marshall is a good way to eliminate all of those foods. And hopefully you're just not sensitive to grapes, because that's going to be one of the main foods that's coming in. But an elimination diet where you remove foods you think you might be intolerant to for 30 to 90 days, and then reintroducing them to see if you're getting a symptom. That's one way of doing it. You can use pulse testing. And that's another process that I use with my clients to see if your body has a reaction. Or you can do blood testing. So if you wanted to, blood testing is a little more accurate. We have a blood testing kit on our site. It's a premium food intolerance test that you can find at thenaturallyyoucoach.com. So I send you the test. You take a drop of blood from your finger, you put it on a little stick, put it in the envelope and send it back. We get your results within about 7 days. And then we have a 30-minute call so I can go through your results with you if you want to. And there's 200 foods and drinks that we can test for, as well as mixes and different herbs and things like that. So we can see which foods are giving your body a reaction so we can remove them from your diet. These are my results. These are results that I got last year, August. So the foods that have come up in red are the ones I'm super sensitive to. The ones in orange are definitely sensitive to, but not as much. And then the ones in green, I'm absolutely fine with. So identifying the foods that your body is intolerant to is another really good way to help reduce your hay fever symptoms, because we're not overburdening your immune system. So looking at your blood and live blood analysis, the process that I do where I look at your blood in its live state, this can also help because we can see things like digestive stress, immune challenges, parasite activity, bacterial activity, mineral deficiencies. All of these things we can see indications of in your blood, so we can get your body to the healthiest place, again, before you go into the hay fever season, so that it's not a digestive issue that's contributing to it, or a parasite overgrowth or a bacterial overgrowth that your body's having to deal with, as well as being hit with the pollen. So that's something else that you can look at and have a think about doing as well. So again, you can find out about the live blood analysis and the herbal teas and all those kind of things at thenaturallyyoucoach.com. And again, you can do the little spinning thing and put your name and email address in to get a discount code. The discount code doesn't cover the clinic appointments, but it doesn't cover clinic appointments or events, but it covers all of the foods that we have. And even though we don't do the monthly sales anymore, because you guys are here on this call with us, you can get 20% off anything you want to buy in store, including that food intolerance test, using the discount code Hayfever at thenaturallyyoucoach.com. And that offer ends tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. So again, you can use the discount code Hayfever to get 20% off anything in store. So it's not the clinic appointments or the event tickets, but everything else, all the CMOS and the vitamin C powder and the herbal teas and all probiotics and all those kind of things, all of those things you can get 20% off in the shop using the discount code Hayfever, and that's until tomorrow night. Now I'm going to unshare my screen and bring my brother, my homie, Leon Marshall in. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat while our brother's getting ready. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Thank you for everyone in the chat. And yes, thank you, Leon, for putting the link there as well to the replay. So we're going to listen to our brother Leon, and he's going to be sharing with us his experiences with hay fever. And then at the end, so again, listen to what he's saying, listen to what I'm saying. And then at the end, we are going to be doing a Kahoot quiz so that you guys can win some prizes. Leon, you ready, bro?
Yes, sis. Amazing information, as always. Listen, when it comes on to hay fever, there's so many. So when I was suffering from it when I was younger, I just didn't understand. And a lot of it is just due to the food that we're eating. So we can bring it down to that. So I'll share my story. Like, I used to love hard bread. I felt like that was just clogging me up. But I was I'd be the one like making the door stoppers, you know, the thick hardo bread and the thick cheese to go with it. So that was me when I was growing up. But before I share my slides, because I'm going to talk about my story and what I suffered from, like I suffered from hay fever for over 30 years. But I have been, as I get older, I have been kind of doing research on the metaphysics of disease, because a lot of the times people say, yeah, disease is caused by food, and obviously food is a big factor, but we don't tend to focus on the metaphysics side. And if we don't, then even if we do fix the other side, or we try all of these things like the supplements and the different types of foods, the symptoms could come back. So I wonder if I can share my screen. Hold on one second, because I want to share. There's a book that I'm reading, but there's a website that just kind of breaks it down very simply. So I'm just going to try and share. It says, can you allow me to share? It says host disabled participant screen sharing. Oh, let me see if I can do it. I might not host. I want to share on this one on my laptop. Let me see if I can do this.
Hold on, let me make your laptop
All right, as you're doing that, sis, I'll just read from the site. So on the site, it talks about like the spiritual aspect of hay fever, yeah? And it says things like emotions can commonly trigger hay fever. So let me see if I can share my screen now. Yeah, there we go. So this is just one example. So look at this list, if everyone can see that. Emotional congestion, which I think is important because a lot of us, it's the processing of our emotions. The same way we have to process food, we have to be able to process emotions as well. So emotional congestion, if you have you're suffering from any type of emotional congestion, in other words, not expressing yourself fully, so you're keeping something suppressed, and all of a sudden, that suppression is trying to come out. Yeah, fear of the calendar. So the fear of, summertime, that was me when I was growing up. Because I suffered from hay fever and summertime was not a good time for me, I'd fear summertime. And that fear could end up causing it as well, just being in fear. And then this one says, a belief in persecution and guilt, feeling unsafe and unloved, chronic grief and sadness, repressed tears held back, unresolved feelings of rage and aggression, unresolved feelings of fear, a belief in deserving persecution. And in the book that I'm reading, which is about the metaphysics of the body, it says believing in not deserving the things you really want as well. So sometimes we have to think about the emotional side of these diseases or these symptoms that we're going through as well, because emotional congestion is a huge one. A lot of us, when we experience something, some type of trauma or anything, we just suppress it because we haven't been taught how to have, emotional fitness, emotional health. So we suppress it and just hope that it doesn't come up, and then it comes up in various ways. So one way is the body, going through hay fever symptoms like sneezing and your eyes swelling up and that sort of stuff. So that's another aspect. I just wanted to mention that. But let me go into my slides and talk about my experience with hay fever. Where am I? Am I still sharing? Hold on one second, family. Oh. Oh, you can see that. So where is the thing? One sec. Let me just see if I can unshare. Sis, can you unshare from your side?
Yeah. Unshare. You.
Yeah. Unshare so I can go back into it. Is it unshared?
Yeah.
There we go. Now it's come back. There we go. Now it's come back. All right. So I'm going to share. and share my slides now. All right, so check this out. This is me when I can't remember how old I was. I might have been 8, or 9 or 10, one of the ages there. And this is me in Jamaica. And this was me literally every year. Every year. So you can see that my face is swollen, my eyes are swollen. Like I used to suffer from hay fever so bad that the whites of my eyes used to swell up over my pupil. I don't even know. I don't even understand why it did that. I used to rub my eyes so much and my eyes used to be swell up. I used to look like I've done a few rounds with Mike Tyson or something. And then you can see that I've got the tissue in my hand, like enough sneezing, itchy eyes like crazy, runny nose. And this was me every summer for 30 years, every summer for 30 years, just suffering. Yeah. So it got to the point where, yeah, I feared summertime. I feared the calendar. Oh no, it's coming up to summertime now. So I want to stay indoors. I don't want to go outside. I want to stay indoors. Yeah. And then obviously that affects you because you're not really expressing yourself. You're not socializing. You're not doing the stuff that you really should be doing, especially as I got older. I was like, no, I'm not going outside because outside is associated with suffering. Now I'm just going to share my story because obviously everyone is different. But for me, everything changed when I started to learn about holistic health and learn about the importance of the gut. So on my journey, I came across a book called Colon Health. And by the way, you can actually download this book free from the internet, a PDF version, Colon Health. Just type in Colon Health. You can see there that the author, his name is Dr. Norman Walker. And this book was one of the first things that kind of changed everything for me. Reading about colon health, reading about how a lot of the issues, a lot of the quote unquote diseases that they say we suffer from, it's because your colon is impacted in some way, shape, or form. So again, you can download this, you can find it online, Colon Health. Dr. Norman Walker, he's written quite a few like small books. And when I say small, it just means it wouldn't take you long to read it. Yeah. And in this book, he talks about certain health conditions which are associated with the gut or associated with your large intestine, with your colon. And let me just zoom into this image here so you can see this. It might be difficult if you're looking at this on your phone, but let me just zoom into this so you can see this image a little bit better. So this image actually shows that certain parts of the colon are associated with certain diseases. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with how your colon works, you've got what they call the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and the descending colon. The ascending colon is on your right side, and it goes up. It goes up, and then the transcending colon goes across, and then your descending colon goes down. Yeah. And obviously, the descending colon has help from gravity. So as soon as, fecal matter or waste matter gets into the descending colon, then obviously movement and gravity is going to help expel it. But that ascending colon, the first part of it, which is on the right side of the body, a lot of things can happen if that part of the body is not moving properly. Yeah. So what tends to happen, or what's supposed to happen, is we consume food, body digests it, the small intestines takes the nutrients out, and then whatever's left goes into the large intestines, which is our waste, and then the large intestines is supposed to move it out through the body. But what tends to happen, unfortunately, and this is because of the environment that we live in, all of the chemicals that we're consuming, the food, obviously, and then emotional constipation as well. A lot of that stuff in the ascending colon, the part that's going against gravity, going up, just stays there, and it becomes stagnant. It doesn't move, or it moves very slowly. So I don't know if you guys can see on that side, on the screen, you'll see that on your left side. Yeah. At the right at the bottom, it says undigested food reflex. And then after that, it says pituitary gland. And then after that, it's got hay fever. So I remember, again, this is years ago when I read this book and I was like, hay fever is associated with my colon. I'd never thought of that because from what I've been told, hay fever was associated with me being allergic to pollen. That was it. Hay fever was associated with me being allergic to pollen. If there's pollen, then I don't want to be around. If, you know, in the summertime, there's a lot of pollen, so therefore I don't want to be around it. No one told me that it could be something internal that's causing the problem. So when I saw this image now, I was like, wow, I was so intrigued. Like, could it be that I could cleanse my colon and get rid of my hay fever? Because it's saying there that hay fever is associated with that part of your colon, the ascending part. Yeah. And then if you're looking up, again, you guys can check it out online. Check out the free PDF online, Colon Health. It shows you different diseases and how they're associated with the gut all the way around the colon. So with me, I was like, okay, I wonder if that's the case, because I read the book, they said, oh, it's about your colon being inflamed or damaged in some way, shape, or form. So then I started to do some research. I started to do some research on what causes gut inflammation. What causes gut inflammation? And a lot of the research was talking about undigested proteins. Undigested proteins. And I still think to this day, I mean, I've done webinars on proteins and that sort of stuff. And in my Black Holistic Health course, I talk about proteins and what they really are. But I still think people don't have a clear understanding of what proteins are and what they do. So your body actually produces its own proteins from amino acids. Yeah. So amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, and your body's supposed to produce its own proteins. Yeah. So when we consume food and it's got protein in it, the body has to break down that protein into amino acids and then reform its own proteins, or your body, its own proteins from those amino acids. But if you consume protein, which is like a complex thing, yeah, and your body's not able to, you know, digest it properly, in other words, break it down into amino acids, then it stays undigested through your colon. And that can cause an impact, that can cause blockages and that sort of stuff. So my research suggested that a lot of the undigested proteins that I was eating was causing that blockage in my ascending colon. Now, undigested proteins is pretty much causing a lot of the problems that we're seeing in even today, because we're not consuming foods that digest easily. The best food when it comes to digestion is fruits. When we're on fruits and fruits only, the body has no problem digesting them. Yeah, but we consume meat, processed foods, even these vegan products, like these vegan meats, these vegan burgers and all that sort of stuff. It's all complex proteins. And the body has a hard time digesting complex proteins, especially if there's emotional congestion as well. So then it gets stuck in that lower part of the ascending colon, and it has trouble moving up, because again, that's going up against gravity. So your colon's supposed to contract to bring that waste matter up, across, and down. And by the time it gets across, gravity helps it to go down, but that part going up, sometimes people struggle with it. So then I was like, okay, so I looked at it as an experiment. Let me see if I can cleanse my colon and see if that has any effect on my hay fever. And again, this is something that I've never done before and never been taught. This is before I learned about holistic health and all that sort of stuff. So I did, and this was, I got this from Norman Walker as well. I did a juice fast, and this was a green juice fast. Now, I used celery and cucumber mainly. Yeah, celery and cucumber, but it was a juice fast, and I did it for 30 days. Celery and cucumber, nothing else. Didn't eat anything, just celery and cucumber. Celery's really good at kind of moving and kind of cleansing the gut, cleansing the colon. So I was drinking celery juice quite a bit, maybe 2-3 liters a day. I know what people are gonna say, like, oh, celery juice, that's terrible. I know it was when I first started it, I was like, what is this? This is the worst drink in the world. But as I continued on, as I persevered, and then as I started to see and feel results, I actually started to like it. I'll be like, give me that green juice. Oh my gosh, it's giving me so much energy. I love it. So yeah, within 30 days, and I say within because I can't remember specifically, but within 30 days, and I did it at the beginning of summer. Again, this was quite a few years ago, but at the beginning of summer. So I was like, I'm going to see the effect. This is the time where I usually start to struggle. So I did it. I did it for 30 days. And within 30 days, I started to feel an effect. And you got to understand, for 30 years, every year, without fail, I'll be mash up anytime I go outside. Every time, especially if I'm in a park, especially if I'm around greenery. So you can imagine, think about the irony of that, yeah? That every time I'm around greenery or trees or whatever, I was mashed up for 30 years. And then I used green juice to kind of heal my gut. And then it kind of reversed the hay fever. So I'll never forget, there was an event at Crystal Palace Park, a huge event at Crystal Palace Park. And me and the family were going to it. And I never look forward to events in parks because I'm just like, I'm going to be mashed up. I never look forward to outside events. But I was on this green juice and I was feeling good and I was breathing and I was like, wow, I can breathe and I'm not sneezing. So I was like, let me test it out. Let me go to this event. And it was in Crystal Palace Park. And I was walking through the park and I couldn't believe it. I was like, right, I haven't sneezed yet. I haven't sneezed, not once. And I haven't even had that itchy feeling and no itchy eyes or anything like this. I'm in my 30s, you know, I've struggled with this for my whole life. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. I'm there breathing and exaggerating my breathing because I can't believe that I'm in a park and I'm not sneezing. So I'm just like, well, there's the evidence. This stuff works. So I don't know what it was about the celery and the cucumber, but it did heal my gut inflammation. It did heal my gut inflammation and that reversed my hay fever. And I haven't had hay fever since. So it has got a lot to do with undigested protein. Again, I'm talking about me in my personal experience. It might be different for other people. So we got to understand that this part of understanding health is very important. So your colon, the colon absorbs water, and that's going to help with the movement of the waste products, manufactures vitamins, produces mucus, forms and expels feces. But look where it starts. Again, it starts in the ascending colon. It has to go up against gravity, then it has to go across and then down and out. And as long as you're moving, this is another thing about our colon. 50 years ago and before that, a lot of us, many of us didn't really have any colon issues because even if we were eating the wrong foods, we were moving a lot. So that's what's going to help this movement here. The fact that we're actually moving, exercising, doing movement on a regular basis, that's what's going to actually help moving waste out of your colon, moving it up, over and round, yeah? Just us doing movement. But now, and especially obviously after 2020, a lot of us are just sitting. A lot of us are sitting at our desks, we're sitting at home, we're just doing a lot of sitting. So how is the colon supposed to stay healthy when we're not doing a lot of movement? Yeah. So after I did my 30-day of green juice, which was celery and cucumber, then I had the energy to start exercising. I felt like that kept my colon healthy as well. Yeah. And sis Leah went over this, so I'm not going to go over this, but these are medications that can kind of mess up your gut as well. So we got to understand if we're on any type of medication, more than likely it's going to cause gut inflammation the longer you are on it. So birth control pills, steroid medications, antibiotics, acid blocking medication for those who are suffering from acid reflux and then they put you on medication. All of those things can cause gut inflammation if you stay on them for long, yeah? So we need to try and avoid those if we're trying to heal the gut. And basically, this is the aim. If we've got gut inflammation, then yeah, a lot of things can happen. If we've got gut inflammation, I said this yesterday in my webinar, the body's gonna give off signs and symptoms that something's not right inside, that you need to cleanse. The body's literally gonna give you signs and symptoms. The same way if you're driving your car and then something goes wrong with your car starts to indicate some form of sign and symptom. Something comes up on the dashboard and indicates that something needs to be checked on. Yeah, it's the same with your body, especially your gut. Especially your gut. If your gut is not cleansed, it's going to give you a lot of signs and symptoms. And we need to understand that there's a direct link between our gut and our emotions, and our gut and our brain. There's the vagus nerve that connects our gut to our brain. So there's an emotional connection that we need to understand with regards to our gut. So if our gut is blocked up, chances are our emotions are congested as well, and that sort of stuff. So what happened for me is once I cleansed my colon, then literally I didn't have any hay fever at all. At all. And yes, for me, I did, at that time, I used green juice, which was celery and cucumber, but I did just green juice, yeah? And since then, obviously I've been doing, a lot of research on holistic health and, using myself as like an experiment, so trying other things. And if I was to try it again, or if I had hay fever today, knowing what I know now, I would have done it differently. Because again, people who are thinking about doing this, yeah, you can try celery juice and cucumber and that sort of stuff. But what I've learned since then is there's something a little bit more powerful than the vegetables, and that's fruits. Fruits are for cleansing the body. So when it comes on to the fruits that we should be consuming, I went over this yesterday, but the fruits first cleanse the body, pull mucus out of the body, and then the vegetables go on to rebuild cells. So what happened with me, because I had stopped consuming all of the damaging foods, so milk, I was consuming milk, I was consuming meat, I was consuming dairy, obviously the hard-boiled bread, I used to love bread, all of that stuff was causing gut inflammation. Once I stopped that and I just went on celery juice, the fiber in it is very, very powerful at just moving stuff out of the colon. And then because I was on vegetable juice, that helped to heal it quite quickly. But again, there is somewhat of a quicker way if you use fruits. And I did go over this yesterday, so I won't take too much time on this, but these are my top 5 cleansing fruits. So you guys can try vegetables if you want, but I feel that for some people, it might take longer than fruits. Fruits are more powerful than vegetables when it comes to cleansing the body. So these are my top 5 cleansing fruits. Watermelon, obviously, in the name, you're getting a lot of water, very hydrating. So you're getting a lot of powerful nutrients in the watermelon. Plus for guys, you're getting zinc and copper. That's going to help with your sexual health, especially if you're releasing a lot. You have to replenish all that zinc that you're releasing. Anytime a man releases, he releases a hell of a lot of zinc. And if you're not replenishing that, that can lead to a deficiency. Yeah. So watermelon, papaya, very good as well. And the seeds are very detoxifying. You can use the seeds to get rid of parasites. Again, those parasites, they live in the colon. So if you've got parasites, that's where they're harbored. So we need to try and get rid of the parasites. Papaya is a very powerful way of getting rid of parasites. But with the seeds, you don't have to eat them. You can literally just swallow them, and the seeds act as magnets for the parasites. Literally just swallow them, and the seeds kind of act as magnets for the parasites. Then lemons, we all know the power of lemons and how astringent they are at getting mucus out of the body. So lemons are going to be very powerful if you're trying to cleanse as well. And then my last 2 were blueberries. Sister Leah, she spoke about blueberries already, so you know the importance of consuming them. High, very, very high in antioxidants. And then my number 1 cleansing fruit of all is the grapes. And again, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have just done grapes from the start. Like literally, I would have just done grapes from the start. It would have cleansed my colon quicker. And then grapes do other things as well. They got this thing called resveratrol, which is literally anti-everything. It's anti-cancer, antibacterial, antiviral, anti-everything, yeah, resveratrol. So if I knew what I know now, then I would have done it with grapes, but it still worked for me with celery and cucumber. And the only reason why I say fruits are better is because since then, since I changed my diet and reversed my hay fever, I was like, oh my gosh, vegetables are the one. Even on my Blacklisted Health course, I was telling everyone, eat green. Like it's all about green. It's all about green. It's all about green. It's all about green. It's all about celery juice and celery, eat celery, cucumber salads and that sort of stuff. But when it comes on to energy and cleansing, nothing beats the fruits. So for years, I went on to like a vegetable diet. I was eating mainly vegetables, and I still had 1 or 2 health issues eating mainly vegetables. So yeah, so hardly any fruits. I was eating mainly vegetables, and then obviously having smoothies and that sort of stuff. And I was still eating cooked food as well, but mainly vegetables. But I still didn't really have the health that I wanted to have. I learned about the power of fruits and how cleansing they are, and the fact that when it comes onto energy in the body, your body actually needs fructose. Your body actually relies on fructose and citric acid. Inside of every one of your cells, there's an energy cycle called the Krebs cycle, but the original name of the Krebs cycle was the citric acid cycle. So in other words, every single cell in everyone's body relies on citric acid to produce energy. And once I learned that, I was like, well, 2 + 2 = 4, right? If your body needs citric acid, feed it citric acid. Yeah, feed it with the fruits. And it made a hell of a difference when I went from mainly vegetables to mainly fruits. Yeah. And that is why, since then, obviously, because I've gained a lot of knowledge over the years, I was able to put together a 40-day fruit regeneration program, which I spoke about yesterday on my webinar. So my 40-day fruit regeneration program, it does start on the 1st, but if you sign up, you can start whenever you want to start. So this 40-day fruit regeneration program starts on the 1st, which is tomorrow. Starts on the 1st, and basically you're consuming fruits for 40 days. And because of how I've put together the program, if you just follow the instructions, it will regenerate every cell in your body if you do it properly. Now, you will be hit with a healing crisis. I always say it's never smooth sailing if you do this 40 days. You will be hit with a healing crisis. A healing crisis just means your body's very overwhelmed by all of the toxins and the mucus that's coming out. So that may happen, yeah? Does this mean eating the seeds? Yeah. So when it comes onto the grapes, I'd suggest getting the seeded grapes and making sure that you're consuming the seeds. The seeds are extremely powerful. These days, it's very hard to find the black seeded grapes. Very hard to find the black seeded grapes, the small ones. These days, especially in the supermarkets, you're just going to get seedless. Yeah, but if you can get your hands on the small black seeded grapes, those are going to be the most powerful. So I'm just going to quickly go over my program. The program includes PDF instructions. So again, I've given you guys the information. You guys can go away and maybe try celery juice or cucumbers, or even try some of the fruits that I showed you. But in this program, you're going to be getting coached through the 40 days. So you'll be getting instructions on how to do it properly, when to eat, where to get your grapes from, or whatever fruit you decide to choose for the 40 days. And you'll be getting online support. So you'll get access to our online support group, which a lot of people say that's where the true value is, because anytime you're feeling low, you just put it in the group. People will be like, yeah, I feel that way as well, but come on, sis, you can do it, and blah, blah, blah. It's so much support in that group. And then plus you'll be seeing everyone's testimonials in the group as well. And then you get live Zoom Q&A. So I'll be doing regular Q&A. So you guys can ask me questions and have me as your wellness coach for the next 40 days. And then when you complete it, we give you some raw food recipes. So we don't just send you back into this environment to eat the same raw foods that caused the gut inflammation in the first place. No, we give you some recipes that you could potentially try for yourself, experiment, and see if you can change your diet that way. Yeah. So, and generally the program is actually valued at $597, but for today it's going to only be £97. Yeah. And again, you can, if you really want to get this offer, you want to pay for it now, and then you can join up when you can start your 40 days at another time. So for people who are not going to start on the 1st, you could start on the 10th, you could start on the 20th, you could start on the 31st of April. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to get this for only £97, then yeah, you want to join now. Yeah. So thank you, sis. Thank you for allowing me to share my story, my Hayfever story on your platform. Really appreciate it. And if anyone's got any questions, please let me know. That is the end of my talk. Let me just come out of here. Let me share the link to the 40-day fruit regeneration program.
Family, sorry if there was connection issues earlier on. I've moved closer to my router now, so hopefully everyone's connection will be more stable. While you're doing that, Leon, how soon do you reckon people can expect to get results with their hay fever?
Well, if you were to do the celery juice, again, I did the celery juice, and it was within 30 days. Now, I say within 30 days, yeah, because I can't remember exactly, but it was so quick, I couldn't believe how quickly it turned around. So it could have been within 15 days, like literally within 2 weeks, I started to feel a relief, and you'd feel it. Because people who suffer from hay fever, like when you're going into the season, you're starting to get that itchy nose, and it's like, oh, every 2 seconds you're doing this, your eyes are starting to itch and you're doing that. And within 2 weeks, I was like, bro, I'm not itching anymore. And that's like, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. But I was very strict with it, like 2-3 liters of celery juice and cucumber juice a day. So literally every day I'm getting up in the morning and doing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of juice. So yeah, within 2 weeks, I'd say I got relief.
Excellent. If anyone else hasn't got any questions, I'm going to load up the Kahoot screen. So I hope you were listening. I hope you were taking notes. Okay, so thank you for that, Carla.
Oh, and I just want to mention that about fruits as well, because this is the thing. We live in, I mentioned this on my Black Holistic Health course, we live in an obesogenic environment, which is an environment that promotes an unhealthy lifestyle to us, which means that if you're unhealthy, that's a normal response to the environment that we live in. Yeah. If you're unhealthy, that's actually a normal response. So the norm is to be unhealthy now, unfortunately. Yeah. So for us to be healthy, we really have to make a conscious effort with the things that we're doing, the food that we're eating, the water that we're drinking, and that sort of stuff. And one way to realize that we're in an environment that is very not conducive to us is when we're allergic to nature. Yeah, that's when you really know that something ain't right. So people who don't have a good relationship with the sun, they go out in the sun and the sun burns them, then that's, for me, hay fever was something to do internally. It was something that I needed to do internally. It had nothing to do with pollen. That, again, this is my personal experience. It had nothing to do with the external environment. It was something that was going on internal. Once I fixed the internal, then all of a sudden, nature and the sun and these trees were my friend. Yeah. So we need to understand that as well. Anytime we're allergic to stuff, and the reason why I mention that is because some people will say, oh, I'm allergic to certain fruits. Then there's something that needs to be done. There's some part of your body that really needs to be cleansed for you to not be allergic to fruits.
So one thing I've also noticed that people say, they will also say things like, they can't eat mangoes here, but they can eat mangoes back home. They can't eat apples here, but they can eat apples back home. So yeah, we like Leon was saying, we are in an environment where like a mango has been shipped all the way. What people have to, what the food industry has to do with even natural foods to get them across the country means that it's like we need to just be aware that just doing one thing isn't always going to get us the results. Like, we need to cleanse, we need to build, we need to take in the right fruit. Again, we need to be patient with our bodies. But also, if you've seen someone do something and it's worked, even if it seems scary, because I can imagine it seems scary to do what Leon's spoken about doing. I can imagine it seems scary to, you know, give up all your comfort foods and not wake up to coffee first thing in the morning and not have your Friday night, you know, takeaway and just drink and, you know, just drinking fruit. Am I going to be thirsty? Is it going to be filling enough? You know, all of those fears, I can understand that. But like, the food industry is playing experiments with us all the time. We might as well go for an experiment, just like Leon did with himself, with a group of family who have done it before and who do definitely have our best interests at heart. And if that means us simply having fruit and some juices for 40 days, it could be the 40 days that just revolutionizes and changes your whole entire life. So it's definitely going to be worth it. Family, I'm going to share the screen now, and I want you to get your other devices ready so we can win some prizes in the Kahoot. So the prizes are going to be the first prize is going to be a £25 voucher for the Naturally You Coach site. The second prize is going to be a £15 voucher. And the third prize is going to be a free ticket to the next Naturally You event. So everyone get your second devices ready. And we are going to get started. So the pin is 1999931. 1999931. So if you go to .it, Kahoot.it, and it's 1199931. 1199931. There's 12 questions and 3 prizes. And I've also included, I've also included questions from Leon's talk as well. Sorry, I'm just going to share and reshare with the sound. Yes. Yeah. So 1199931. So £25 first prize, chocoholic. £25 first prize, second prize £15, third prize free ticket to the next event. So I hope you're taking notes, family. Wait a minute, sorry. Okay, out. Sorry. I hope you can hear me now. So I'm going to put the Kahoot.it. So you go to Kahoot.it, and then the pin is in the chat as well. I'm going to give you a minute all to join. Leon, have you got any other events coming up that you can speak about at the moment? Brother, you're muted.
Yeah, I've got an event coming up in August, but it's not fully confirmed, but just family just know that it's going to be a big event, and we hopefully will be officially confirming it within the next week or so. So just look out for that. We've got a huge event because, again, we want to get back to doing these physical events. So we've got an event coming up at a university. Not going to say which. Up soon, we're going to go back to doing the physical events, family.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, we're going to give everyone a few more minutes. Get yourselves logged in. We've got 3 prizes. Not working. You sure, sis? You go to www.kahoot.it and then it asks you for your PIN 1199931. Or you can scan the QR code on the screen. All right, family, we're going to do a 60-second countdown and then we're going to get started. You now, Amanda. Yep, excellent. All right, we're nearly there. All right, 30 seconds, 29, 28, 27, 26, Kahoot.it, 1199931, 20, 19, 18. How people joining and leaving? You guys got scared? Don't be scared, darlings. Come on. Should we get started, Leon?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Hey, Belinda just won. 5, 4, 3, 2. Right. Let's go. So, hay fever is also known as, right, is it the sniffles, annoying itchiness, rhinitis mellitus, or allergic rhinitis? I put this in red, family. Yay, there we go. Tell you got it right. It was allergic rhinitis. Oh, I love seeing these scoreboards. Okay, so we've got Elle in first place, Alison, Ank, Noel, KW, Chocoholic, and G. Let's go to the next one. All right, fear of what can contribute to hay fever? So remember what Leon was just talking about. Is it the courtroom, the calendar, coffee, or curry? There we go. Fear of the calendar. Oh, Elle got knocked off. She jumped to the top and Kanaya's on the board now. All right. Here we go. Which immune cell doesn't produce symptoms? The IG1, IG2, IG3, IG4. Which one does not produce symptoms? Yes, there we go. IG4 does not produce symptoms. Let's see what people are doing. All Coco's on the boards. JE is holding position. Right, this is 2 answers to this question. What medications would a doctor use to treat hay fever? So there are 2 answers. Antibiotics, antihistamines, steroids, or Calpol. Good old Calpol. My mum could have had shares in Calpol, the amount of Calpol I remember us having when we were little boy. There's 2 correct answers. There we go. Steroids and antihistamines. Oh, the board is moving around. Anyone's. Okay, what book helped Leon's hay fever? It's also the first book that he spoke about. Was it Liver Health, Great Fast for Health, Kidney Health, or Colon Health? See which one remembers. See if you guys remember. It was colon health. Well done. I think nearly everyone got that one. Well done. Oh, Van is on a streak. Well done. All right. Let's go. Question 6. Which of these is not normally a symptom of hay fever? So it's not normally. Is it coughing, sneezing, runny nose, or itchy eyes? Which one is not normally a hay fever, a symptom of hay fever? Boom, coughing. There we go. So now everyone can have all the symptoms and random symptoms, but coughing is normally not one of them. Right, 5 more questions to go. What did Leon drink to cleanse his colon for 30 days? Was it Guinness punch, beetroot juice, celery and cucumber juice, or coconut water? Not what did he want to drink for 30 days. What did he actually what did he actually end up drinking for 30 days? Well done. Celery and cucumber juice. Excellent. See what's going on with the oh, look, everyone's sticking to their positions. What can you rinse your nose with for hay fever? Is it salt water, grape juice, sea moss, or apple juice? The little video that I showed, what were they washing with? Saline water, salt water, grape juice, sea moss, or apple juice? Boom, it was salt water. Now, I will say, if you're making up your own solution, make sure you only put a tiny amount of salt in the water. It's not concentrated salt water, just a small amount of salt. Right, now this is a true or false. Coffee and alcohol are calming, relaxing, and help relieve symptoms. Is that true or false? So do they help relieve symptoms of hay fever? Boom. Absolutely false. Well done. They might be calming and relaxing, but only for a hot minute. Right. What can get stuck in the ascending colon? So remember what Leon was talking about. Is it undigested protein, undigested celery, undigested cheese, or undigested fats? What can get stuck in the ascending colon? Undigested protein. And you can find out more about protein in the Black Holistic Health course. Is that course still available, Leon?
Yeah, for the VIP members, it's just like a e-learning course. So it's literally just on the site for VIP members. When they become a VIP member, they could just literally go through it. But it's so comprehensive. It will take them a hot minute to go through it.
Yeah. You put the link to the VIP access membership program in the chat so people can find that as well. Right. Question 11. 2 more left. What nutrient is the best antihistamine? Whether I pronounced it right or not, is it quincy, quercetin, curry, or apple juice?
I haven't got a clue.
I had trouble pronouncing it. I kind of made up the pronunciation.
It's probably wrong. I don't like that.
It's quercetin. Well done. There we go. Oh, everyone's holding position. Last question. Anyone can steal it. What fruit skin can you make tea with to help with your hay fever? Was it ginger skin, banana skin, pineapple skin, or watermelon skin? This is the one that I made in the video. Well done, pineapple skin. Oh my gosh, okay. So it's the podium. In 3rd place is Coco. Round of applause for Coco. 2nd place, Chocoholic. And in 1st place, spotlight on 1st place, it is Van. Well done, everyone. Let me take a snap of the screen. So you're going to email me with your, because right now on your screen, it's gonna show that you've come 1st place, or you've come 2nd place, or you've come 3rd place. Please take a picture of your screen and then email it to me at leah@thenaturallyyoucoach.com, or you can WhatsApp it to me, and I'll put my number in the chat. So, well done everyone for that. We're gonna hop back over to. We're going to hop back over. Now, just to close off, we've got our next event is on Wednesday, which is Magnesium and Black Women's Health with the wonderful Sophia from Morgan Genus. And again, you can get that at thenaturallyyoucoach.com/events. We've got the Wonders of CMOS. We've got Black Women and Divorce. We've got Clearing Negative Emotional Blocks for Health Through Tapping. We've got events coming up on financial intelligence, on self-love and self-awareness. We've got women's groups happening. There's lots of other events that are happening and coming up. You can find us again at The Naturally You Coach on Instagram and TikTok. And Leon, do you want to say goodbye? Do you want to sign off before we let these lovely people go?
Yes, so thanks everyone for joining us, and I hope you learned some great information, some amazing information that you guys can use for yourself or from Hayfever. Those who are interested in doing the 40-day fruit regeneration program, I'll put the link in the chat one last time. We are starting on the 1st, but if you can't start on the 1st for whatever reason, you can still join and then start whenever you're ready. So you don't have to start on the 1st of April, but you'll start and do your 40 days whenever you're ready. So hope to see some of you on the 40-day fruit regeneration program. And yes, this will help to cleanse your colon as well. So hopefully you'll get some relief from Hayfever. Well, not hopefully, definitely you'll get some relief from Hayfever by doing this program.
Excellent. So family, I'm just going to quickly show you where have I put it? Right. So I'm just going to quickly show you. So I've put a link in the chat, and it has so this is the link to the PDF. So this is a snapshot so you can print this out, you can stick this up. This is the highlights of the parts of my talk, and then there's a link to Leon's site as well. So these are all the diet and natural remedy recommendations, the lifestyle recommendations. So you can just kind of have them all there, and instead of having to listen back through the whole event, even though I do recommend you listen back through the whole event at some point, or if you had to leave early and you're just listening to this now, or you're going to be getting a link to this in the replay. So this is something that you can keep hold of, so that you can make the changes more easily. And definitely 100%. Do you have a mailing list, Leon?
Yeah. They go to the hiddensciencecademy.com and then they can just join the mailing list from there. So
yeah. So keep up with what Leon's doing through the WhatsApp groups, through the mailing list. He's also on social media. Do you want to share where you are on social media as well?
On Instagram, it's Leo Marshall Online, at Leo Marshall Online. And then on YouTube, it's just Leon Marshall. Just search Leo Marshall on YouTube.
Okay, lovely. All right, so it's quercetin, the supplement. That's the name of the supplement that you can try. And if you go back through the list, through the recording, you'll see all the foods that have got quercetin in them as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. It's been lovely to do this event. Again, this is the first event I've done in months, so it's lovely to have you all here. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. The replay for this should be sent out by the end of the day today. Thank you again for Leon for being here with us, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and bank holiday tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.